We have
Now
Vanessa
I'm not
Tyler
live
doing.
anymore.
I know, right?
Yes,
So I guess he'll go off screen when you're going to look stuff up.
maybe.
So let me start by introducing ourselves. So I'm Deborah Heiser. If you're seeing this, you're probably subscribed to The Right Side of 40, and that's the Substack that I write. I also write for Psychology Today, and you can find me on other social media platforms as well. So I usually talk about midlife and aging. And today I'm here with Bruce. He is a Substacker also, but you may have read some of his stuff on Forbes. He has more than 85 million reads on Forbes. And the cool thing is, Bruce writes about science and current events and health in a humorous way. So I'm super excited to bring two Substack accounts. What's the name of your Substack account?
Minded by Science.
So Minded by Science and The Right Side of 40 are together today, live in one place. So we have a kind of a fun thing planned for today. You want to tell them?
Yes, I'm trying to make sure my entire head is live. It's
Okay,
only
go ahead.
part of my head is live. Okay, there we go. Now I'm completely live. Yep. Yes. So we wanted to discuss the term looks maxing.
That's right. We just
Yes.
heard that this morning.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we want to dive into that.
I had heard of it a little bit here and there because one of the things that I do in my covering health and science for Forbes is to cover some of these TikTok trends. And that includes, some of the trends that make sense in terms of from a science and health standpoint, but also some of the ones that don't make sense, like the ones that tell you to eat dirt. I don't know if you heard that.
Eat dirt.
Yes, there was
No,
a
thankfully.
TikTok trend where people were telling people to eat dirt, and basically I had to spend an entire Forbes article explaining why it's not a good idea to eat dirt. So,
Hopefully nobody
so if
here
you're
needs that
thinking of eating
explanation.
dirt, don't, because there's a reason why it's called dirt. It's dirt, which is bacteria and dirt and stuff like that. So, but looks maxing, it looks like looks maxing is a term that's been trending for a while in TikTok. So I figure we'd use some time to look it up, right?
Good.
Define it.
Like a real scientist that you are.
Exactly. And then define it and then talk about whether it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Good idea.
Yep.
I love it. So now, just while he's bringing that forward to give you the definition, we heard this from a genuine Gen Zer today who's 21. So we heard a couple of terms. So hopefully we'll get to talk about a few of them. So go ahead, give that definition of looks maxing.
So looks maxing, if I ask Google AI this, it basically defines it as an internet driven, primarily male dominated, okay, trend focused on maximizing physical attractiveness through various, sometimes extreme, methods to achieve a perceived ideal, and ideals in quotes, see both the quotes, ideal appearance. It ranges from skincare and exercise, which is soft maxing, and to, in some cases, cosmetic procedures and jaw reshaping techniques like mewing or hard maxing, or I think it's like face hammering.
Oh,
Yes.
face hammering. Like,
Well,
what do you mean
I
by that?
actually wrote about this. Let's see. Oh, bone smashing. Bone smashing.
Oh, bone. What?
Yes. I wrote about this a little while ago for Forbes. There's something called bone smashing, where you take this hammer.
Wait, a real hammer?
A real hammer, or the equivalent, something hard, and then you start smashing your bones, sometimes in your face.
Wait a second.
Yes.
This is an actual trend?
This was a trend.
Are people coming into the ER for this? Like, what in the world is this? And how did it start? Tell me about bone smashing to start, because this sounds crazy.
Bone smashing, apparently there are people on social media like TikTok and maybe Instagram saying that this is how, if you want to restructure your face or parts of your body, you can just take a hammer, because you can treat your face like IKEA furniture and just like kind of start hammering it.
Wow.
And then you break the bone and then it will heal, and it'll heal into the shape that you want. That's a theory. I'm not saying that's what you should do.
This is kind of like plastic surgery, except you're doing it at home.
Yeah, it's DIY.
Oh, man. And so is this like Gen Zers who are doing this? What age group?
Well, these are folks on TikTok and social media. I think they are probably in the Gen Z range, but That was the suggestion. Yes.
Are you seeing now you're a physician and a researcher and you have an MBA, you have a bunch of different degrees. Is that I can tell already you're going to say this is not recommended, right? Um, but
Spoiler alert.
yes,
Yeah.
spoiler alert. Tell me a little bit about what are the dangers of this? Like I'm sure the obvious are infection or it doesn't grow, your bones get shattered and they don't grow back right. But if you're DIYing this kind of facial reconstruction for yourself, what are some of the dangers?
So you're saying what are the dangers of taking a hammer to your face?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So so one, of course, you can injure yourself.
Yeah.
Two is you can injure yourself. Three is you can really badly injure yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and so if you're hammering yourself, there's all this stuff. So it's not like you're in, an art studio and your face is just like this clay sculpture where you can chisel
Mhm.
away.
Mhm.
You've got skin, you've got soft tissue, you've got, of course, bone, you've got various types of membranes and potentially ligaments, depending on where you're hammering. All those things could get damaged and they may not heal properly. Well, first of all, you have to get past that initial damage. I mean, if you're causing yourself injury, you could cause yourself serious bleeding, you could even cause a life-threatening injury,
Okay,
right?
so you were saying that this was popular on TikTok. How many people do you think were actually engaged in this?
Well, that's where it's difficult to tell, right?
Right.
So you can see something and you can see multiple people talking about it and say it's a good thing to do or whatever, but you don't really know ultimately how many people are actually following this.
Mm.
Um, and so that's unclear, but it's one of those things where, if these videos are going to convince someone, at least one person to do it, and that person has some serious injury, that's not a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
So
I want to jump in here a little bit
it changes, it adds new meaning to the word getting hammered.
because
So
that's
yes.
funny. So, it's interesting that I'm hearing this and I hadn't heard about it before.
Mhm.
But I write about midlife and I talk a lot about midlife and it's interesting because the idea behind this is to improve how you look.
Yeah.
And a lot of that goes away in midlife where you're really as consumed as you are when you're in your late teens and 20s where you're really consumed with how you look, you're trying to be attractive to others and those sorts of things. That doesn't wane completely in midlife, but a lot of that keeping up with the Joneses, a lot of that
Mhm.
comparison to others wanes in midlife. And so I am so unbelievably glad to know that midlifers I don't think midlifers are bone smashing. Um, but it's good to know that that exists because, boy, we should hopefully let people know, hey, it gets better. You are not going to be doing self comparison nearly as much when you get to midlife.
So what do you think changes? What's the switch that flips?
When you're young, you're in the identity stage of life and you're
Mhm.
trying to figure out who you are. And part of that is that you're presenting yourself in new ways. And in doing so, you're built to compare yourself to others.
Mhm.
You want to see what are others doing? Do I want to do that? Does that seem like that's my kind of people? Does that seem like the thing that I'd like to engage in? Is this more of what I'd want for myself? So it's not a bad thing to be comparing yourself to others. In fact, it's helpful when you are younger, but that wanes once you start to get to know who you are. When you say, hey, you know what? I found my people. I am now doing the things that I enjoy doing. I feel confident in my areas of expertise and the things that I'm good at. You no longer have that same level of importance put on comparison to others.
Mhm. Does that happen overnight, or is it one of these things that, like, it's not? Is it one of those things where you wake up one day and say, "No, put away this hammer. What am I doing?"
When do you drop that hammer?
Yeah, yeah.
um,
When is the hammer drop?
So it's a slow, steady progress. So anybody who is a teenager would say maybe be really intensely feeling like this because you're supposed to. You're supposed to figure out where you are in the world. But it's a gradual thing. As you start to figure out more of who the people are that you want to be around, more the expertise that you're pursuing. And by that I mean like what are the things that you enjoy doing? What are it can be hobbies also. It can be whatever it is that you do once you start to find the things that you feel are important, give you meaning in life, the good old word purpose that everybody throws around, when you have more of those, that's when it starts to wane. So it's like you're just shedding a little bit of it as you gain something new. You're getting rid of a little of the stuff that doesn't work so well for you, and you're adding things that do work for you. So it's a process that we're dealing with our whole lives, really.
So it's more gradual, and
Hmm.
then it's rather than like you wake up one day or whatever, or
Yeah.
get out of a car and suddenly you realize, oh my goodness, I don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah, you don't, like, turn 40 and say, "That's it. I don't care about makeup and how I look, and
Uh-huh.
who cares, I'm gonna only wear sweatpants every day." No, that doesn't happen like that. But it
Mhm.
does happen where you'll start to see people who will start to shift in some of the importance they put on external or outward facing, physical things about themselves. And, we saw that with like the gray hair trend. People started to say, you know what, I'm going to let my hair go gray.
Mhm.
With women, we started to see some of those things. We do so, those see, where people do hold on to some things. We saw the rise in GLP-1s and other things where people said, hey, I can lose some weight pretty quickly and easily. And so we don't shed all of it,
Mhm.
but we shed the things that we really feel like, hey, I can get rid of this.
So there's that term midlife crisis, right? So that would suggest like if someone is in his her like teens or 20s and they hear the word midlife crisis, it makes it seem like, oh, you're going to hit a crisis one day.
Hmm.
But it sounds like you're talking about the opposite, where you're actually feeling more comfortable within your skin,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile that like image of the midlife crisis versus actually it's a situation where you're getting more comfortable with yourself?
I think that that's a misnomer that's been
Hmm.
put out there. And I wrote about this for Psychology Today,
Hmm.
that really midlife pivot has been called midlife crisis. Just when you get the opportunity to try new things, people will say, oh, they're in a crisis. If a person just says, I'm going to start a new kind of job, I'm going to do the thing I've always wanted to do. Now I have the opportunity. That's not a crisis for the person. That's a person saying, wow, I have a new opportunity.
Hmm.
You'll see midlifers trying all kinds of new things, and it's because they can. So somebody once said to me, wow, I saw this person, she's 60, she's going to get a degree at college, a master's degree. Why would she do that? And I said, because she can.
Hmm.
It wasn't that she was lacking something, it was that she finally could. And that was something that it didn't matter if it gave her a better job or did something for her. She wanted to check that off. So we're so often checking boxes when we're young for others. That you go to college to please your parents, or you're doing something for others because it's socially what's set in front of you. When you hit midlife, you're putting those boxes in front of yourself for the first time, and it allows people to try all kinds of new things that they maybe always wanted to do but couldn't. And people on the outside will say that person hit a crisis, and they didn't.
Mm.
Um, that's really just a misnomer. And when people drive nice cars, a lot of times a person and when they're young would drive that car if they could, but you can afford it when you're in midlife oftentimes.
Ah, okay. So it's actually a misperception,
Mhm.
misnomer,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Interesting. Interesting. So,
So
oh,
what was that next? You had more things. So you wrote about bone smashing on
yes,
TikTok. Don't do it. But
yes.
what are some of the other terms that you were gonna tell us about?
Well, let's see. We can go back to this looks max, and now I realize now I'm not fully live because I'm completely off the camera now,
We can
but
hear you.
you can hear me. Uh,
He's still really here.
yes. So there's looks maxing, and then um,
And
there's
it's looks maxing. I
looks
thought it was
maxing.
look smacking,
Yeah,
but it's looks maxing, like maxing out on looks.
yeah. Look smacking would be something completely different. Oh, you're too good looking. Psh, don't do that either. That's
Yeah,
not good. That's not
not
good.
good.
Yeah. Um, okay, so there's mogging.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put it on you while you
Okay.
okay.
So mogging is listed as a Gen Z slang term for outshining, dominating, or looking significantly better than someone else in terms of physical appearance, fitness, or style. Okay. It originated from the term amog. Of course, you use that term amog all the time,
I've
right?
never heard of that.
Yeah. It's AMOG stands for Alpha Male of the Group on 4chan in 2016. It's now a central, often competitive concept within TikTok. Looks maxing. That's hard to say.
I
Some
know
people
that.
just want to say
Say that 10
smacking. Yeah.
times.
Looks maxing culture and fitness communities. Okay. So it seems like it's a little related to looks maxing, but it's actually, I, I think the difference is looks maxing is you yourself are trying to maximize
Your look.
your looks. And then what you're seeing many times, it's actually maximizing your looks though towards one type of look, right?
Oh,
It's not, there seems to be a predominant look that many people
and this
are
is
aiming
for
for.
men. Is that correct?
It said predominantly men,
Okay.
yes. And then mogging sounds more competitive, where you're actually outshining, dominating, or looking significantly better than someone else.
So mogging is within the looks maxing community. You are trying to be the best looks maxer. Is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
Yeah, you're trying
okay.
to outshine everyone else,
Okay.
right? So yeah, so that's the difference. So it's and then if you want to mog someone, is to be more attractive or physically imposing, making others seem less noticeable in comparison. Yeah.
Okay. This
So
is a lot of pressure on men. I had always heard about women really being, feeling like they had to look at their looks in many ways and compare themselves, but now men are getting there.
mhm,
Wow.
yeah.
That's super interesting.
So do you think men are getting there, or do you think men have always been there, and it just hasn't been talked about as much?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm a boy mom, and I don't think my boys were that interested in their looks, but I could be wrong,
Hmm.
and I could just have two boys that weren't that interested in their looks when they were young. But I think that they are now, but I don't know how it used to be. I really don't know the answer. You're a guy. What do you think?
I think that you did see uh, you do see a lot of guys who are interested but not really talking about it. So it's
Ah,
one of these things where I think when things hit social media, I don't think they're necessarily caused by social media, but social media will uncover things.
so do you think that social media sort of enhanced this mogging and looks maxing for men? Like men said, "Hey, I want to look like that," or I'm going to compare myself, to this group. Is that what you think?
I don't know. I mean, it might have been always around. I remember if you go to the weight room or something like that, and you have
Mm,
they're like
mm-hmm.
they're spending
Yeah,
in some cases hours in a weight room.
that I have heard of. Yeah.
And then and there's some competitiveness when people are flexing and those things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I think that there has been, and then the bottom line is there are also male products like beauty products or whatever you want to call them out there.
You're
So
right. There's
yeah.
a whole new. It used to be that they didn't have like male moisturizers,
Hmm.
and they now have a whole. Yeah, they have whole men's shampoo lines and everything that are newish by I'd say like 10, 15, no, like 15 years or so, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's been around for a while.
Mhm,
It's been
mhm.
around for a while. It just probably hasn't been talked about as much, but that's what social media can do. Social media can
Yeah.
kind of uncover how different folks are feeling, et cetera. And like you said, maybe not all guys do the same thing, just
Mhm.
like not all women do the same thing.
That's true, yeah.
So yeah. So that's mogging, and now you know a mog, and now you know what you might mean if you accidentally say you're mogging someone.
So give the definition again of to mog.
To mog is to be more attractive or physically imposing.
Who's the judge of this?
Oh, you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'd be like if I felt like I was more attractive than others, I would be successfully
No, you're
mogging.
the judging for everyone.
Oh, I'm judging
And
everybody
entire
else.
world, yeah. It's something, just kidding.
Oh.
Uh, so, yeah, that's a good question. That is a good question. So, because ultimately we know that there's a lot of subjectivity when it comes to looks, right?
Yeah.
So, there's all those lists where people say, oh, uh, hottest celebrities or whatever, et
Right.
cetera. But then, people have different preferences. So that's the challenge. Like, who are you really comparing yourself with?
Yeah.
Probably people are comparing themselves with folks they see on, you know, TV, movies, or
Hmm.
what have you, or social media.
Yeah.
But ultimately, yeah, who's really judging this?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another interesting one, looks maxing and mogging. I will say that what I've seen and the literature also shows is that if by midlife, you may still, want to maintain a certain level of whatever, but that keeping up with the Joneses in looks, there are plenty of people who do that, but the vast majority of people lower their standards that they put on themselves.
Hmm.
And their focus tends to be on other things. And so that is something that will start to wane over time, I think.
So where does the focus change?
In meaning,
Meaning.
finding meaning in things. So, if you're really focused on your looks, and on comparing yourself to others, that where is the deep meaning in that?
Hmm.
When we hit midlife, we're trying to say, did I matter in the world? What was my footprint? Did I do anything that means anything? So we start to really want to engage in meaningful things.
Hmm.
And that can be, what impact am I making? What am I doing in the world? And that's where your focus shifts from how do I look in the world to what have I done in the world? And
Okay.
that's where it shifts.
So it shifts from what impact am I having on my face with the
With that
hammer
hammer?
to what impact am I actually having in the world?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly, yeah, mhm,
So face to world. Yeah.
exactly, mhm. Yeah,
Interesting.
instead of looking in the mirror, you're looking out at the world.
Okay. And then that's a gradual shift too?
Yeah, it does happen, though, it's kind of more abrupt than anything else, so you'll start to see and people think it's more gradual than it is,
Hmm.
but all of a sudden, what'll happen is when people hit, like, 40 or so, and sometimes older, it's a sliding scale. But you'll start to hear people talk a little bit differently. They'll say, "Oh, I want to start a blog.
Hmm.
I'm going to start going on TikTok. I'm
Hmm.
going to start going on social media. I'm going to start um doing a podcast." All of these things really grew because people said that they wanted to be able to make impact. They wanted to make their footprint. They wanted a legacy of some sort.
Hmm.
And that happens pretty quickly. All of a sudden, a person will say, like, it's kind of like they look around and they say, what have I been doing? It's an aha moment
Hmm.
that is a little more quick than when you're sort of shedding that exterior, how you're looking to the exterior world
Hmm.
and comparing yourself with others.
So I hear of people having also particular events or moments that kind of shift. Maybe something happened in their career or their job, or
Mm,
happened with
hmm.
someone close to them, or something of that sort that can potentially accelerate them changing their perspective. Do you find that to be the case? Or?
Yeah, we have various life transitions. So when we're
Uh-huh.
talking about like looks maxing, mogging, and what was that called?
Bone smashing.
Bone smashing.
Yeah.
Those are kind of like moments, right?
Yeah.
But when you're talking about transitions, you're talking about what happens when you retire.
Okay.
What happens when you get married? What happens when you buy, your first house? What happens when you get your first big job?
Hmm.
These are transition moments,
Yeah.
moments that, happen and while you're having that thing, even if it's good, you start to feel like, ooh, what do I do? This is new. This is uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So we have kind of these shifts that happen throughout our lives and they move along.
Yeah. That happened when I ate sushi for the first time. That was a huge transition. I was just like, "Ooh, this is uncomfortable, but good."
Yeah, you
Yeah.
must have had a lot of wasabi.
Yes.
So, in terms of when we talk about these sort of snapshots and how we might be feeling about ourselves with how we look and how we are comparing ourselves with others, it's a little bit different than when we go through some of the transitions where we're having a new way of looking at the world. And when we're transitioning, we're usually absorbing something and saying, okay, this is a part of me now.
Hmm.
And so, like, if you're doing any of the life stages. You go to college, you get married, you buy a car, you get a house, you get a job, you retire. Any of these things are where you're going to be, having more added to your identity in some way.
Hmm.
And mugging and all of that is just a temporary moment in time with that.
Hmm. So if someone is uh, stressed out, feeling they don't make the cut when it comes to mogging, what do you tell them?
Anybody who's feeling in the moment like, hey, I'm not cutting it,
Hmm.
finding out, where do you cut it?
Hmm.
What are you good at?
Hmm.
What is your superpower? And a lot of times people will put it all on looks, and that's ever changing with the fit trends and fashion and things like that. So I always tell people, and it's a process, right? That we have to look at ourselves differently, but find out what you're really good at and what you really enjoy and focus on that.
Hmm.
And, obviously that's easier said than done, but when you're talking with somebody, it's a process.
Wonder what the opposite of mogging is.
Oh, I wonder about that. Now,
Yeah.
I want to know from you though,
Hmm.
what got you interested in looking at science in a humorous kind of way? Because you find these terms and these things and you're able to write about them so that we can see and, talk about these cultural things that have to do with health or science. How'd you get into that?
So I put in mogging at an antonym, and I got mogging synonym. Maybe it wants to force me to. No, it says mocking antonym. That's
Oh, that's
different.
very
Yeah,
funny. So you can't even find it.
yeah. You know when you try to put something in Google and it replaces what it thinks you should be looking for. Well,
Yeah,
let's see.
it really doesn't want you to do it. He's looking it up.
Did you mean mocking antonym, mugging synonym,
So
nagging antonym?
that's very
No, these are
funny.
not best. Oh, best antonym
Antonyms
for
for mogging, I
mogging,
see it.
being mogged. Oh, I guess, you
Others.
can mog someone and that you can get mogged by someone.
Okay.
Getting eclipsed. All right. So instead of you're outshining someone, someone can outshine
Okay.
you. Being outshone. Okay. Appearing less attractive or impressive by comparison, and underperforming. So those are
Mm,
antonyms. That's a little disappointing because I was hoping that there would be another like kind of term that's opposite to mogging
I
that could
agree.
be catchy. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I guess
Why
being
don't you make one
mogged
up?
or yeah, I think we should make up words
Yeah,
and then, just keep saying it because like if you keep repeating something, it becomes the truth, right?
that's true.
Yeah.
That happened with mogging.
So, yep. Anyway, speaking of which, you had a question.
I did.
Yes.
So, I wanted to know how you got into this because I learn all of my trendy terms from you.
Okay.
How did you learn about this? And as a scientist and somebody who has been a researcher for so many decades, how have you been able to make science fun and why did you do it? Like, how did that happen?
Well, I'm always interested in learning new things and seeing what's happening. And so, you watch TV, movies, social media, and for why I also was working with folks were working on movie scripts in Hollywood. There's this program
I didn't know that. That's cool.
where they would connect us with different Hollywood directors and writers to help make the scripts more realistic.
Hmm.
So I remember, I remember one group of producers had some kind of scene where they said, "Oh, okay, I think it was a TV series that either a war or movie TV series." They say, "Oh, there's a prisoner that was going to be tortured, and they want to make it realistic because he wouldn't want unrealistic torture." I was like, "Okay, all right." So that was a kind of an unusual, but it's helpful to make things more scientific.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily want to tell people how to torture people,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
I felt that there's this many times this artificial separation between science and other stuff, or
Hmm.
certainly like science and entertainment. Sometimes sometimes there is this attitude that science is like medicine meaning you take a medication.
Hmm.
like, oh, we got to take this, or you got to learn some science.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, science is actually really really about describing the world around you, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
you see
Mhm.
things happening in the world, and it's like, oh, why is this happening? Or what are the patterns?
Yeah.
That's what science is.
Mhm.
And like math is an example. Math is, if you look around you, things happen. They're not complete chaos. They happen in some type of ordered way,
Yeah.
and they tend to follow math equations.
Mhm.
So I was wondering, well, why is this so separate? Like I remember, I had interests in like art. I did a lot of photography, drawing, and writing. And I remember at some point someone said, "Oh, do you want to do science or do you want to do art?" Um, and I'm like, "Well, why do you necessarily have to choose? Aren't they, you know, are they that separate? Are they that different?"
Yeah.
Um, And I feel like that there is a real opportunity to integrate science into like a lot of different things and vice versa. So yeah, I was interested in following a lot of these trends and helping, um, helping communicate about them and using different ways to communicate.
I love
So
that.
yeah.
But you do it with humor. So, again, I just wanna say you have more than 85 million reads on your Forbes articles. That's a lot of reads, and Um, and you have the Substack too. And I have to say that when I've read some of your articles that they're hilarious because you talk about things that most people don't talk about and in a funny way. So I hope that everybody's going to check your Substack that you have on here, Minded by Science. And I hope that we're going to do more of these lives because I always learn something from you. So,
Oh, and vice versa.
oh,
Vice
cool.
versa. I am a big fan of Debbie's work and her Substack as well. Her book, The Mentorship Edge.
Ah, thank you for
That's a
talking about that.
fabulous book. Debbie has really is, and I don't say this lightly. She is a fabulous connector, a connector of people and a connector of ideas, which I think is very rare.
Mm, thank you.
Because many times we sort of say, okay, well, these two are related to each other. And that's about it. That's what it's easy to say that, but Debbie's able to say, well, here's something that looks completely different, but it's actually related to this. Or here are two people that they look like they're from different walks of life. They do different things, but they're actually really connected in these ways. They have
Mm,
these common
cute.
interests. They have these synergies. And I've seen so many situations where Debbie has connected people and just amazing stuff has happened. Like it's been like an explosion. So Debbie is a great person to be around,
Thank you.
and also listen to. So,
Thank you, Bruce.
mhm.
Well, until next time, it's adios for now.
And let me just put my head up. See you
Bye.
later.
I'm not sure how to turn end over here.
We probably spend half